Aloha everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, as you can see, we're going to be going through Punisher's Crypt. Yeah, if you guys are here right now live on Twitch, go ahead and say hello to your future self. So, recently I've been seeing a lot of people build this team, some different types of teams to try to speed run through these dungeons. Now, we've made a couple videos before already on how to really do the dungeons and effectively do them with kind of free-to-play units as well as lower quality runes and just trying to get the dungeons done at a high success rate. Now we're going to start diving into ways that you can actually build your teams to go even faster. For those players that are a little bit more advanced, have a little bit better runes, you're going to be able to, successfully do these dungeons a little bit quicker. So as you can see, this is the team that I have lined up today, which is Verd, Kali, Ryok, Jolton, or 2A Ryok, 2A Jolton, and Pang. Now, I think these are relatively free-to-play units still. The hardest ones to get probably would be the Jolton if you don't summon it since there's no SD, as well as Pang if you didn't do the HOH. But relatively free to play, right? No LD Nat 5s, no LD Nat 4s, right? Nothing crazy, no regular Nat 5s here. So this team is fairly solid and fairly free to play still. Just the difference will be that the rune quality is a little bit higher. So this team here, which I forgot to mention to say, I actually got some help from some buddies of mine and some people on Discord. So big shout out to Topa. Yeah, Topa actually kind of helped me out, gave me the rundown. We chit-chatted a little bit. It's been a while since I talked to Topa as well, so chit-chatted with him, tried to get him to play some Valorant so we can play some more Valorant in the future. But yeah, back to the Punisher's Crypt here. He actually guided through some of the things and some of the aspects of the dungeon to me, and I was able to get the gist of it and kind of rune up my units and get this team that's kind of going on right here for you guys. As you can see, this team is very solid. Now, I've seen a couple other videos and a couple other people building different teams that are based around dots, right? Putting a lot of dots on the boss, using some kind of absorb or attack bar reduction to proc the boss to take a turn. The boss eats a dot. You complete the dungeon, right? Using like homunculuses or Orochi and even Yen and Pang. I think those are great. But I found that this team is pretty solid as well. It's a team that you pretty much are using old school tactics. Basically, defense break and attack buff and doing damage to the boss. Because this boss is not that tanky. Not that tanky at all. So as you can see, the run is pretty solid, right? Under a minute. I've been testing this run all throughout the afternoon. So on the low ball estimate, I would say that I've been doing about 100 runs. That's a low ball. I've probably done more than that. And I've gotten 0 fails. Where most of the dungeon times are definitely under a minute, right? I'm seeing a lot of like 50 seconds, even a lot of 40 seconds. The slowest I've seen it is maybe about 1:10. Now that rarely happens, and that usually only happens if like something occurs where Kali's AI doesn't use skill 3 or she doesn't have skill 3 available. But for the most part, the team doesn't fail and the team is very, very quick. So as you can see, the turn order here, we got Kali going first for the attack buff and the speed buff, which is kind of important to help your units, boost in front of the boss, as well as we got the Jolton going next for the defense break, followed by the Pang to extend that defense break if she can land it, and then Ryok to do damage, pull everybody in, maybe, extend it even more with Pang, and then you have Kali there who also has an amazing S2 that does an insane amount of damage. And all throughout this, there are still being dots in place, so that strategy with dots is still kind of here, right? The dots from Jolton and the dots from Pang are really, really nice to kind of help finish off the boss. But the main thing here, attack buff and defense break mainly, and just to nuke the boss. And it works pretty well. Works pretty dang well, as you can see. Another thing I wanted to let you guys know, this one was a little bit slower, 1:02, right? You'll watch the next one will be potentially faster, but another thing I wanted to let you guys know is that the runes that I have here, they're not really like super endgame, they're not like crazy OP runes, nor are they like early game, super easy runes to get. I think this is kind of in a middle ground, kind of my more solid runes, not like the most OP. Another thing to note on this team as well is that there are no fight sets. Fight sets, depending on some of the endgame players, right? You start farming those. Fight sets give you more attack on all your units. You hit harder. You probably do the dungeon a lot safer and a lot quicker. Next is artifacts. I have 0 artifacts on all these units. So, like a lot of you guys who haven't really been farming a lot of these dungeons yet and have those artifacts for these units, if you put them on, I feel like the artifacts will make this team even safer, right? Give you more HP, give you more defense, give you more attack so you can do more damage, right? Because you get 2 artifacts for each and every one of these units. And then followed by the substats that can also help. Maybe using some substats that increase damage to light or decrease the damage or have more crit damage could be really, really solid in this dungeon. So keeping that in mind, because I'm running this at already 100% success rate and decently fast, you can see that if there are any fails, that it's okay. Because if there are any fails, there will probably be even a higher success rate once I put artifacts, right? As well as it could be even faster once I put artifacts and maybe figure out some fight sets that I could put in here. The main importance, like any dungeon, is the turn order. right? The turn order as well as the accuracy. Now, some people have done some data mining on these dungeons. It seems like the B12 dungeons, the accuracy is a little bit higher, but in these dungeons here, the Punisher's Crypt and the Steel Fortress, it seems like some people have told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, some people have told me that the accuracy you need is only like 20 something percent, right? Like 24% or something like that. Yeah, this is just data mine information. It's not really confirmed. That's all I heard. But so I would say the minimum you want to rune for is 24%. But I have most of my units here that, you know, need to land debuffs like Jolton and Pang. I have them rune on a little bit higher accuracy, on 30 or 40, just in case. But so that being said, it shouldn't be too difficult to get the accuracy here. Just gotta focus on being kind of tanky and focus on having the right amount of damage stats so that you're able to kind of nuke the boss and get through the dungeon quickly, or else you know, you're gonna die. You have no sustain here, so you're gonna die if you don't do enough damage. Let's go ahead and go over some of the runes so you can see some of the stats, some of the turn orders, and kind of get a more of a sense of the gauge of how this dungeon works. And you can try to copy and maybe re-rune some of your units to try to successfully do this dungeon as well. So going into the runes here, first unit that we're going to be looking at is going to be I'm going to do it in terms of their turn order, so it makes it a lot easier for you to remember what my turn order is and the reasoning behind it. First unit that we have here is a Kali. This is going to be the unit that's going to give you the attack buff. It's going to give you the speed buff, which is kind of nice on the team, as well as the nuke, the S2 tectonic shift, the skill that is most known for. Yeah, it deals a lot of damage as well. These are the stats for my Kali. As you can see, damage dealing stats. Obviously, I think players out there, you probably can get more attack than this. I'm sure you can get, you know, I think 90 crit rate. I mean, 85 crit rate's enough, but you can go 90. Some people get 100 crit rate just to be sure, right? Less chance things go wrong, right? Because there's a chance you can still miss crit. But 91 crit rate here. So make sure you're like at a high crit rate. I'm sure players can get more crit damage as well. But the main thing is making it so she moves first on the team, making it so she is, you know, not too squishy, and making sure that she can do as much damage as you can. And this can come in any way, shape, or form. Because the unit is not ruled on Despair or Violent, currently mine is on Swift Energy. Yeah, it's on a speed, crit damage, attack build. Yeah, not even fully grinded out yet. But you can go on anything else you want, right? You can go Fatal, you can go Rage, you can go Triple Blade, right? Oftentimes players get so caught up on trying to finish a set when sometimes breaking up the set can be more beneficial, right? Maybe you have Triple Blade set. That could be more beneficial here and could get even better stats than what I have. But the turn order and the end stats are the most important, so keep that in mind. Let's go and move on to unit number 2 here. This is the unit that is our tank, right? This is the unit that tanks the boss. Since the boss is light, as long as no other unit on your team is at low HP, it's gonna pretty much always go for Jolton. Now, if there's another unit that's low HP, there's a chance that the boss will target that instead of Jolton. So that's why we have it on shield. Right, these shield sets kind of help to keep your unit at a higher amount of health, to keeping it alive and keeping the rest of your team alive, giving your team a little bit more of a buffer of health before the boss, you know, kind of wipes you out. Gives you a little bit more time to do a little damage to the boss, turn cycle, and kill him before he kills you, right? Here's your stats. I think Jolton is very easy to rune. Second to move on the team, as well as I would say accuracy is important. Like I said, 24. I have 45 here, and the rest tank stats. Right, whatever amount of health you want to put, whatever amount of defense you want to put as well. Yeah, just tanky. It's gonna be really, really good here. The reason why I have it on Will is I don't know if you saw through the dungeon, but if I don't necessarily get Kali's third skill right off the bat with that speed buff, I don't know if it's every time, but oftentimes the boss may move. And because the boss is pretty fast, if the boss does end up moving, it'll, like I said, target Jolton. And all its skills, the AoE to the single target, which it's going to do on Jolton, all reduces attack gauge. And I don't want it to mess up my turn order, so I put a will set. I just slapped it in just in case, right? Maybe it's not needed, but just in case in there, so that attack bar doesn't get reduced for it. And it's able to put the defense break and continue to move at the right turn order, so that, you know, the units moving after, like Ryok and Peng, have that defense break set up, and the turn is not wasted, right? The damage output is going to be what I kind of want and what I kind of expect to be outputted through that turn rotation. Let's see here. Some people always ask, can you use regular Jolton? You can. Right, 2A is just better because it's tankier, but and I think the regular one doesn't put dot. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the regular one doesn't put dot, so just something minor, but it's just less tanky. But you definitely can use it. You definitely can use it. Moving on to the next unit here, which is going to be which one moves next here? I believe the next one to move is the Pang. The Pang. I have the Pang moving next. The reason why I want the Pang to go after the Jolton is because Jolton's defense break is only 1 turn. So because I have Pang here, I can have Pang move after, and extend that defense break. So just in case then, you know, the boss ends up moving or taking a turn, it will still have defense break because I extended it from 1 turn to 2 turn. So Pang moving right after to dish out the damage, extend that defense break is really, really crucial. These are the stats for Pang. She is on a Violent set. Now, if you can't do Violent, I think it's feasible to go Fatal or Rage or Swift. Violent just gives you that extra threshold of getting another turn, dishing out more damage, right? The more chances you have to go more turns, the more damage you're dishing out, the higher potential success rate you will have in the dungeon. So these are our stats. As you can see, I'm using broken sets, but Violent, whatever will work. Just to move after your Jolton. That's it. Accuracy, 24% or more, so I have it on 29, but yeah, keep in mind, 24%. Speculated, alright? Until I get a confirmation, I always call things speculated. Just in case, right? Just in case. There's Pang there. Next to move is the Ryoke. This unit's gonna bring in more units, right? It's gonna bring in Jolton. It can bring in Pang to extend the debuffs just in case she misses it. Bring in Pang to do damage. Bring in Verd to, you know, do damage and turn cycle. Ryoke can bring units in, and Ryoke can also do a crazy amount of damage, right? He can just literally S1 into Oblivion, right? Because, you know, he can just John Cena, as YDCB would say, right? He could John Cena and do a crazy amount of damage. But as you can see, these are his stats. If you've noticed, all of my units, I tried to make it so they're not too squishy, right? Of course, I want to focus on getting them good crit rate, good crit damage, good attack, and the right turn order, and the right accuracy, but I make sure they're not squishy as well, right? So high stats for HP, as well as some stats in defense. This one doesn't have that much defense. And the shield runes combined with those will keep your units alive for the majority of the run. So these are his stats. He's on Violent Energy, right? Violent Energy here. He's on a attack, crit damage, attack. But again, right? Focus on the stats, right? Even though I might be attack, crit damage, attack, you might be able to do speed, crit damage, attack and get the same amount of attack, if not more, and hit the certain speed that you need to hit. Last unit that we have here is going to be our Anchor, which is going to be our Verd. I've gone back to a classic old school Verd. I don't think I've ruined up a damage Verd for quite a few years. I used to use a damage Verd back in the Verd double targ days. The Verd double targ days, I had a damage Verd for Dragons B10. So I haven't ruined him up for damage in a while. He's back on the damage build again. He's currently on Violent Blade. He's got 100 crit rate so that he can boost the team, right? Not missing a crit. He's got that crazy crit damage so that he can deal a crazy amount of damage as well. And he's on Violent, so he could also potentially Violent and, you know, give you more boost or do more damage. So as you can see, all my units here are prepped up to set up damage or to do a lot of damage in order to get rid of the boss ASAP before he kills me. Don't need any accuracy with him. One thing I would note is because of the way speed ticks work and the way that you want to be above the speed of the boss, I would try to recommend you to try to rune your Verd at this speed, right? Because I don't know if you rune your Verd slower than this, you may have any problems, right? So I would say that try to rune your Verd around no slower than this, right? I'm going to say 180 right here. At 180, just to give you a threshold. I think the boss is, you know, moves at like 175 speed, something like that, after like leader skills and all that stuff. So you want to be able to be faster than the boss so you can turn cycle. So as a good gauge, don't rune it slower than this, right? Just as a gauge. And maybe if you can try to make your other units similar to the speeds of my other units as well, you'll be hitting around that same speed tick area as my other units. So you'll be able to turn cycle around the same amount of time as the team that I have, right? Which is really, really important. But yeah, so last thing I want to tell you guys, again, none of these units have fight sets. None of these units have artifacts. So once I slap those in, once I farm these artifacts, once I get any artifacts, I can slap them in and get bonus stats. Even if the substats are garbage, right? Even if the substats don't even do anything, I could choose, technically, even though I don't recommend it. It's kind of expensive. Once you get those artifacts in, then you plus 15 them, you're going to get a lot more stats for these units, and your team is going to be a lot more consistent, which is really, really nice. So hopefully you guys can try to build this team, right? Very easy to copy stats. If you guys would like a replacement for this team as well, because I'm sure you guys don't have a lot of these units, or you might be missing, not a lot, but you might be missing some of these units. It's going to be hard to replace the Jolton because there's not a lot of other like dark units out there that also set up defense break as well as Jolton, because Jolton does it on every turn and he's also very tanky and his base stats are really good. I've seen some people try Dark Lizard Man. I've heard of some people trying Mantura and Diaz. I'm not sure the success rate of those, but you can give those a shot if you don't have one. Other than that, I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully that you do get a Jolton eventually, one day. And the other unit that you might have a hard time getting might be the Pang. If you don't have a Pang, obviously it's an LD4. Either you summon one, or you get the reoccurring HOH, which I don't think is going to happen, yeah, for quite a long time for Pang. Other than Pang, you can try Yen. Yen might work here as well, but I don't know the success rate of how it's going to pan out. But I've heard of people using Yen here very successfully, so that might be a decent replacement for the Pang here. But all in all, let me know your thoughts of these teams down below. Let me know if it's helped you out. We're going to continue doing videos like this on some of the other dungeons. I know we haven't really touched up. We made a video on DB12. If you haven't seen that, check that out. But we haven't really made videos on the other B12 dungeons because I think primarily players should focus farming artifacts right now, right? If you are in the mid game, for the majority of player base, you should be trying to get these artifacts ASAP. So I've really pinpointed my videos to focus these artifact dungeons first. We have made that DB12 video. We will make in the future some other guides for GB12 and NB12, right? Some free-to-play-ish, beginner-ish guides for those videos, and then after that, for those dungeons. And then after that, we'll probably do some speed teams for those dungeons as well. If you also have not seen the original Punisher's Crypt video, check that one out. That one's a little bit more free-to-play friendly if you have a hard time kind of matching the stats in the team that we have here. That one's a lot safer. That one's really, really good. And of course, if you haven't seen the Steel Fortress videos yet, we have a beginner guide on that, free-to-play units in that as well. And then we found a even more consistent team with Gina, the Dark Mystic Witch. So make sure you guys check both of those videos out there and leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you guys want to see, right? If there's any other types of videos or dungeons or units that you think are awesome, give me some inside scoops on whatever you guys hear about teams, and I'll test it out, right? I'll be the tester. Test things out for you, and we'll create some more of these guides so you guys can get into these dungeons and get your artifacts. But other than that, make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Yeah, I keep saying it. Right? I look at the statistics like every week, and it still says, right, more than half of the people that watch these videos, you're not subscribed, right? Do me a favor, take a second, hit the subscribe button. It supports the channel, right? It also lets you get notified when we go live with a new video every single day. We have one video every day, but lately there's been two. So make sure you hit that bell icon as well, so you get notified when any videos go live. But until the next time, I'll see you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace out, everybody.